You can't let your past dictate the future. I'm a black male from Detroit with 1 GPD. I shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be on this podcast. But look how I took the bull by the horns and didn't let my background, my upbringing tell me who I should be and where I should sit. And so when you ask me, why do I keep advancing? Because I want to be that beacon of hope. I want to be that realistic expectation on the room. See, a lot of times nurses are on the table, but I wanted to sit at the table. And so I had to continue to advance so I can sit at the table. Let's make some decisions together that better the outcomes for these patients. So when you say what needs to change, not necessarily healthcare itself, we need to change the amount of people that can go to be a doctor, a nurse, PT, OT. That's going to change healthcare if we can get the right minds in there. Not everyone can pass a test, right? They may need to be ranked or different things. And I think by allowing more people to get into healthcare, we can help eliminate this nursing shortage, and we can get fresh minds in that healthcare. Healthcare is not ran by fresh minds. I mean, with all respect, but it's not.
Hi, everybody. This is Dana Weaver, and today is going to be a fantastic conversation for quite a few reasons, actually. The first and most important is that my guest has a wealth of knowledge in leadership and in the senior living field, and I can't wait for you to hear his story. He has such a passion for leadership and a passion for what he does that it's definitely going to come through in our conversation today. My guest is Demetrius Kirk, or DJ, as he likes to be called, or he just said, don't call him late for dinner. So I really like that. I got a kick out of that. He is a seasoned healthcare consultant and executive with over 15 years of extensive leadership experience across various facets of the industry. From his beginnings as a certified nursing assistant to his ascent into executive roles, he now is a consultant. He has mastered the spectrum of healthcare management, and his expertise includes optimizing operational efficiency and enhancing financial performance, underpinned by a strong educational background in both nursing and business. He also hosts a podcast that I was just on earlier today called Sound Leadership with DJ, a podcast that delves into industry trends, leadership strategies, and success stories. His discussions aim to inspire and educate listeners on the transformative power of effective leadership in healthcare. Engage with Demetrius to discover how his extensive experience and strategic insight can drive success in your healthcare organization or at your next event. Welcome, DJ. I'm so glad you're here.
Listen, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to just be on your podcast. I've watched them, I've seen them, and now I'm in the chair. So thank you for having me.
I'm really glad to have you. I have to tell you, the first time that I met you was at the American College of Healthcare Administrators conference, actually just a few months ago. And the thing that we bonded over immediately was leadership. And your story captivated me from the very beginning. I was wondering if you could tell our audience a little bit about you and tell us your story.
So I don't know what story I spilled, but I would just give you a quick summary of who I am. So as you mentioned, my name is DJ. I am from Detroit, Michigan, but I currently hail in Honolulu, Hawaii. I have been in Hawaii for the last 3 years, and my journey to Hawaii was something that just kind of happened. I stepped out on faith. In 2015, me and my wife came here on vacation, and I fell in love with the island. And it was at that time, me and my wife, we looked at each other and said, look, let's just move here in 2020. Well, we joked, but it was a serious thing. We really planned for it. And in 2020, COVID was here and we were both finishing up school. And we said, you know what, in 2021, no matter what it is, we're going to move. So in 2021, we packed everything in 4 suitcases and moved to Hawaii. We didn't have a car, a house, or a job. We just arrived. We just got here and we made it work. We stepped out on faith. So I don't know if that's the story I told you or my GPA story, but that's one of the many stories.
Neither of them, but that is a fantastic story. You just packed everything up and you just made the decision to do this.
Yeah, you know what? I had a 4-year-old at the time and she almost didn't make it because she didn't fit in the suitcase. So we had to do some rearranging and we were able to bring her. And so we brought a 4-year-old and our suitcases down. But yeah, we stepped on faith. That's one of the things that I want people to know about me is I believe in myself as they should believe in themselves. We just had a thought and a vision we would make it work. For 30 years, I lived in Michigan. I lived in Detroit and knew I could make it work. But the real test of my skills and ability is, can I go somewhere where I know absolutely no one and make it work? And I'm happy to say June 22nd marks 3 years we've been in Hawaii.
That's fantastic. And you are making it work. You're really making waves, not only in the field of aging, but you're also helping other businesses to grow. And I think that's so fantastic. So the story that you told when I met you was about how you started out as a CNA, or certified nurse's assistant. For those that don't know the acronym in the field or our jargon, you started out as a CNA and you just worked your way up and you kept getting degrees and certifications, and you just kept going. And it just inspired me that you wanted to keep stepping higher. So tell us a bit.
Yeah, so, I'm, as I always say, and I mean it with the most respect, I'm not a transplant, right? When I was getting into healthcare, I got into healthcare when I was 18. I was a certified nursing assistant at the age of 18. And I saw a lot of people, as I say, transplanting here. That's back in 08, right? 08, 09, what happened? The housing market crashed. Jobs would happen. So everybody was transplanting into healthcare because in 2 weeks, you too could be a CNA, right? So I was first into being a CNA, and I knew nothing about it. I got into healthcare on a $25 bet. I had a friend who said, I'm going to be a CNA. And I said, I bet you I can be one better than you. And it was born. He never showed up to class. So I don't know if I won the bet, he won the bet, but he never showed up. And I became a CNA. And it is through me becoming a CNA, I was, my eyes opened into the field of healthcare. And I worked as a CNA for some time. I wanted more. I wanted to serve my patients more than I was serving. And I went back to school to become a licensed practical nurse. As always, I did that for a little bit of time and said, look, I can do more. There's more I have to offer. I went back and obtained my 2-year associates shortly after my bachelor's of science in nursing. And as a bachelor of science in nursing, I was privy to some director roles, right? I was a director of nursing, very big position at the age of 24, right? I was a director of nursing, but I wanted more. I was reporting to a licensed nursing home administrator, and I was like, I can do that job. I'm a leader. I think I can do it. So I went back and obtained my licensed nursing home administrative certificate in the state of Michigan, and I started running nursing homes. And I said, okay, I'm running nursing homes, but I don't have a full concept of the business behind it, right? I want to understand. I'm here to serve. And how can I say I'm serving my patients, serving my residents, serving the population, serving my staff if I don't fully understand the financials? So I went back and got an MBA and a Master's of Science in Nursing. So the journey has just been ongoing, and I'm currently wrapping up my doctoral degree in nursing as well currently. So I'm a lifelong learner, as you can tell.
You certainly are, and you carry such a wealth of information with you. That did totally inspire me when I heard it. And it did again, because you just kept looking at your future and saying, I could do better than that. I can do, I can keep up leveling, and you keep doing it. And pretty soon we'll be able to call you Dr. Kirk, which is so cool.
You know what? And for me, I think the coolest thing about me being able to say Dr. Kirk is not the fact that I'm going to say it, but it's the fact, get chills when you think about it. It's the fact that my 8-year-old will say it and see it and know that she can accomplish it, right? The first generation, one in my family to have a doctoral degree. And me and her mom have set the foundation. Her mom has a master's degree. I have a doctorate degree. No competition. But she only got one master's degree, but no competition. But anyway, my daughter will see that she can do and be anything she wants. One of the things I always tell people is you can't let your past dictate the future. I graduated with a 1 GPA. And years later, somebody's going to be calling me doctor. I don't know who, but somebody will. But I graduated high school with a 1 GPA. I'm a black male from Detroit with a 1 GPA. I shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be on this podcast. But look how I took the bull by the horns and then let my background, my upbringing tell me who I should be and where I should sit.
Absolutely. That is so powerful. That is so powerful. And you're sitting in Hawaii with almost a doctorate degree. and you have your own business. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so I work for S&K Medical, full service healthcare consulting firm specializing in risk and compliance. So I've taken the knowledge that I have and bottled it up and said, how do I help organizations move it forward? Every organization has an issue with risk and compliance. It's just an name, right? It's just going to happen. So how do I take what I know from the operational side, and how do I take what I know from the clinical side and give an organization the best of both worlds? So that's what I do now.
Wow, fantastic. What is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
I like the grind behind it. It's hard. It ain't easy, and you cry yourself to sleep every day. But I like the grind, and what I mean is, I know that if I don't get up and go, money's not going to come in. I can't feed my kid. We can't stay here in Hawaii. So I like the hustle and grind, and maybe that's me from Detroit, right? I like to be able to kind of get up and will and deal and make connections and negotiate. I love the art of negotiation, but I like to do all of that. So when you say about my favorite part, I think that's it. Just in summary, making those connections with people.
And you're so good at that. You can just walk up to anyone and introduce yourself, and you find a common thread between the two. And we would not know each other had you not walked up to me. So I appreciate that very much.
But let's talk about you. I know this is a podcast for me, but you were out there putting yourself out there, and that's why we connected. Had you not opened your mouth and said, hey, this is what I do, right? I saw somebody who said leadership on the thing, and I'm a student of leadership. And I was like, I got to go talk to them. And I remember I was sitting at your table, and I'm like, trying to stay quiet and not just, I'm just trying to listen. And I remember kind of people at the table, talking to you, but then they're also talking to me at the same time. And I know you're like, who's this guy at this table?
Well, you're inspiring me. I was glad to listen to you. I was like, this is an important person to be listening to.
No, I was just, but I stepped out on faith like you stepped out on faith, and look at that chance encounter. Now we're here sharing information. I'm on your podcast. You've done my podcast, and we're inspiring the people who are listening to our podcast. We're showing them that you can really do whatever you want. It's just starting.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting, and really, like you said just a minute ago, putting one foot in front of the other and just keep going, because the minute that you stop, that's the minute that you lose your momentum. And we work too hard to gain the momentum that we have. And so we have to keep putting those feet, one foot in front of the other to keep getting there. And because I see that in you, and I've heard it several times from you, I know that you're going to keep going, because you're not the type of person to stop, clearly in your experience. I wonder, what in your childhood caused might not be the right word, but what in your childhood brought you to this desire to keep wanting to do better and better?
Oh, nobody has ever asked me that question with the camera in front of my face. Oh, I don't know the fact that it was a childhood thing. I think I grew up, my mother was a single mom. My dad was in and out. And it's no secret, I love my dad to death. My dad was more of a financial donor. He was there, but he owned his own company. So that was my first time of seeing somebody own their own company. And as you know, when you own your own company, you're really working, you're really grinding. I just talked about networking and the grit behind it. And at the time, back in the 90s, we didn't have all the technology and access to assistants to help us and things. So he had to do it. So I saw him own his own business, and it left us with my mom, who suffered from sickle cell. So even through that, I saw my dad working and never punching the clock, always owning his own business. I saw my mom with sickle cell pushing through. She had an associate's degree, would do people's taxes. I was see her persevere in the hospital. She's on the phone doing somebody's taxes. I don't even know how, but she is, right? So, but she was persevering through. She didn't allow any setback to hold her back. And I think for me, I have to be honest, I grew up, as I said, in Detroit, Michigan, not always the best environment. And my environment was, it wasn't as bad as it could be, but it wasn't the best. And what I knew very early on is, I don't look good in orange stripes. I don't care if you add a black line down it. I still don't look good in orange. So if I wanted to get what I wanted to do, I had to find a way out of my neighborhood. And my way out was to work. And unfortunately, you can't do a lot with $7 an hour. So what they told me was, if you go to school and get this little piece of paper, it's your ticket to make a little bit more. So it became a quest to get these little sheets of paper, because you're telling me I can do better for myself, and I can put myself on a higher pedestal where I can, possibly not have to have the upbringing that I had. And in return, I can inspire the generation behind me. My cousins who are behind me are now seeing, okay, because DJ is in Hawaii, and it can be done because he was just on the street, a couple of years ago. It can be done. So, what inspired me, I think the fact that I didn't want to be seen as orange and black. Hopefully that answered your question.
It answered it very well. That was, it makes me happy that you are where you are today, but it also, regardless of the humble beginnings that you were speaking of, your parents set an example for you in ways that maybe they don't even realize or didn't realize that they were doing at the time, but you were paying attention.
And what's interesting, I'm a parent now, and what that means is I now reap what I sowed, but also I get to look back at my parents and realize they really did the best they could with the education they had, the training, and the finances. I think as a kid, we don't think about all that. It's just, we don't have the newest Jordans. We don't have the newest this. You just don't want me to do this. No, our parents truly do know best. For the most part, they truly know best. And they did, my parents did the best they can. But it took me a while to get to this point. And, what makes me do what I do today, it's because I want to do the best for my daughter. So I take what I've learned from my parents and I teach that. So I'm trying to run my own business, but if my daughter comes in here and says, hey, Dad, I want to go to dance class tonight, guess what's going to be a dance class tonight? It's going to be me. I'm going to be in dance class tonight, because I'm not going to let work get in the way, because, it impacts their future. It impacts especially little girls, right? How they feel and view people. It impacts it. So I take the best of what my parents gave me, and even the worst, and I turn that worst into something, or the bad into something that's positive for my daughter.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. For those that are watching and they're really engaged in this conversation, it's clear that Demetrius puts family first. So put in the comments, family first, because that's what we should all aspire to. And he's leading the way for that. And he's showing his daughter that she is more important than his job and his business. And I just think more people need to hear about this, and more people need to figure out how to practice it. So thank you. Thank you for telling your story, and thank you for demonstrating for us what a leader is. My next question really comes around, you're on the Next Level Leadership podcast. So yes. What does next level leadership mean to you?
Oh, that's a loaded question, and I love the title, right? I think that's a loaded question. So it kind of goes back to when you asked me about my schooling, right? It's, how do we continue to level up to be the very best? So in a form of leadership, how do we continue to level up to be the very best? I'm here today, but what am I doing to take my team and my leadership skills to the next level? And it kind of aligns with what we've talked about at the event that you were speaking at, right? It's attending conferences, it's gaining new skills, it's listening to feedback, and that's how we level up our leadership style. Hey, what worked today or what worked pre-COVID, it's not working now. I don't know if they know that. But teams are working remote now. So I can't sit around a water cooler and get to know Johnny and Sally and Billy, because there's no water cooler. We're talking through a screen, and half the time we don't have a camera on. So I have to next level up my leadership skills to get to know them personally, to gain their buy-in, and also just to have that relationship to strengthen the team. And that's leveling up your leadership.
Yeah. Thank you. That's great. I really believe that next level leadership is whatever it means to the person that's speaking to me or the person that is watching this, because I kind of define next level leadership as the next level from where you are. And if we're all taking those steps up and we're all trying, just like you have done in your life, we're all going to be better. We're all going to show up differently. We are all going to show up as better leaders because we're making that commitment to ourselves. So I appreciate you telling me your perspective in that. What there has to be a defining moment or two or three in your career that really helped you to realize that one, you were a leader, and two, that you wanted to be a better leader. Can you tell us a story about any of those times?
So, I don't know that there's a defining moment. My wife always tells me I'm great at taking constructive criticism. She tells me that all the time. I want to be the best version of myself. I want to give you the best version of myself, but I wasn't always that way. See, Demetrius used to be that leader that can get things done, but there would be a trail of bodies behind him. Oh, I can get it done. You brought in Demetrius. It's known as the cleanup. But I had to learn that you can still clean up without making a mess. I had to learn that. So, and ironically, what took me to change my leadership style? I had a baby girl. Because you can't be all that firm, and you hold a little 1-year-old, a little onesie, right? So I just have to. And so when people used to tell me that all the time, they used to say, Demetrius, I can't wait till you have a kid. I was Demetrius who, unfortunately, you lady, and I understand your kid was sick, but rules are rules, and there's a time and place for things. But I've learned that people have lives outside of work. This isn't their only thing. Real life is happening outside of work. So it took me having a baby girl to reevaluate things, right? Once my kid got sick, and I was like, hold on, I can't hold you this way, and I'm acting this way, and things like that, right? So it took me having that baby girl to kind of redefine my leadership. And now I say my leadership is a situational leadership, right? It's based on that person. It's based on what's going on. So, once again, not a true defining moment, but if I had to pinpoint it down, it was me having my daughter and looking at how I was speaking to people, how I was approaching people. It wasn't always the best. I may get the work done, but were people doing it out of fear, or are they doing it because they respect me and follow the vision? And that, having that daughter, kind of changed my perspective.
Fantastic. Isn't it amazing how kids can change all of that for us in an instant?
Yes. And, I want you to know I'm being open and honest, and I don't think I've ever said that to people, that I used to be that kind of leader. You knew Demetrius was coming, and my name rung bells. If you knew me in Detroit, you knew I ran their songs. You do not, but even now, right? I still ring bells. People know I'm no nonsense, but it's a different approach. It's different ways to skin a cat. My DO used to tell me, you gonna get the job done, Demetrius, but you didn't have to approach it that way. And one of the things that I used to do, and I do it to this day, and I'm working on it. My wife tells me all the time, I don't raise my voice. I don't scream at people. These aren't my kids. But I have this thing where I lower my tone, and I'm disappointed, and I'm trying to work on that because I don't do it direct. It's just how I do. We're talking. I'm like, so dang, you thought that was the best way to get it done? I'm not. I didn't say that wrong, but it's like I would say, it's just because people are used to me laughing and joking. So when I get serious, it's like, oh, right. But once again, I know that I'm not perfect, and I need to continue to level up my leadership.
Yeah. Wise words for all of us to take with us as we're having this conversation. So we've talked a lot about your life. I'm just wondering, is there anybody outside of your family that inspired you, that was a good leader, or that made you want to keep going?
So I don't want to call out one leader specific, because I think that I surround myself with quality people. When I think back on my leadership journey, I house them into, I remember the ones that weren't good to me, because those are the ones I don't want to be like. So if I remember your name, and for all intents and purposes, it's with respect, but if I remember your name, it's probably not good. So I always tell people, there's a one time I was a brand new LPN on the floor, and like first day on the floor out of orientation, brand new, like ink is not dry. And I'm getting 2 admissions. One's a hospice patient. He dies as the ambulance is taking him off the gurney. They lift him in the air, put him on a bed. He transitioned in the air. Can't make this up. And I'm sitting on a yard. I'm sitting on the hall, and I'm just sobbing, right? And my direct unit manager looks at me and said, "Hey, I'm going to go home. Give me a call if you need me." And I was like, look, that's not in my head as LPN, right? I'm 21 as LPN. That's not leadership. If I ever make it to that position, I don't want to be like that. So I use situations like that to shape my leadership skills, because that was, I'm 35. I'm talking about something that happened when I was 21 to this day, because that has shaped me. That moment there, I can remember it vividly, right? You imagine your first day, somebody dies, and your boss is like, best of luck. Call me on the phone. We can triage it. I'm like, no, but you're here now.
Yeah. And it does get to be a little bit like these things do happen, especially when you're working in hospice. That's unfortunately what the expected end is going to be, but every one of those people are lives. And
I had to learn, and you're an administrator, so healthcare is a business. And I think that I had to learn it. And when I had to learn it, it was an unfortunate truth, and it shocked me because I was an LPN. And I was like, this is not why I got into nursing. I was a CNA, and I wanted to really help people. But you're telling me I can't pass a deal because the insurance didn't cover it? I got it in the bottom of my card. I can't do X, Y, and Z. We can't help this person. Just going to keep getting reoccurring UTIs because we don't have a bladder scanner. It's not in the budget. This person getting a UTI and ending up on antibiotics is in the budget. Okay. So I had to learn that side of healthcare. And so when you ask me, why do I keep advancing? Because I want to be that beacon of hope. I want to be that realistic expectation on the room. See, a lot of times nurses are on the table, but I wanted to sit at the table.
Yeah.
And so I had to continue to advance so I can sit at the table, because now there's no reason you can't tell me I don't deserve to be at this table. With an MBA, the MSCN, let's make some decisions together that better the outcomes for these patients.
Absolutely. What's the one biggest thing that needs to change in healthcare to bring about the best outcomes for the patients?
I'm not going to say it's healthcare. I'm going to take it a different approach. Can I spin your question a little bit?
Absolutely. Feel free.
We need to change these requirements to get these students into these nursing programs. And I say that as a nursing instructor. Everyone's not a good test taker, but we eliminate people because they are not a good test taker. I just finished a podcast with Dr. Sophia. She has a PhD and a doctorate degree in business administration. She has dyslexia. She shared that on my podcast, so it would be live. She has dyslexia. She knew to ask for audiobooks in nursing school, but how many people don't even take the test because they don't know to ask for an audiobook? So when you say what needs to change, not necessarily healthcare itself, we need to change the amount of people that can go to be a doctor, a nurse, PT, OT. That's going to change healthcare if we can get the right minds in there. Not everyone can pass a test, right? They may need to be read to or different things. And I think by allowing more people to get into healthcare, we can help eliminate this nursing shortage, and we can get fresh minds in that healthcare. Healthcare is not ran by fresh minds. with all respect, but it's not. We're so behind in technology and how we do things in healthcare.
Oh, I love that. That you're speaking to me, because I was the person in college that had extreme test anxiety. But had I let that hold me back, I wouldn't have been able to become an administrator and continue to do the things that I did. And there are so many people out there like that. And there's a lot of kids in high school right now that are starting to get exposed to healthcare through different projects or programs that are out there available to them. But they may not be the best students, but I bet that some of them have the biggest hearts. Even if you get a straight A student, they may not always care about the patient that they're serving.
So I have to share really quickly another story time. I could not get into nursing school. Go figure. I had a 1 GPA. Who wanted me? Nobody. But you know why I couldn't get into nursing school? It was deeper than a 1 GPA. I to this day, have a horrible spelling problem. I finally understand how to spell there, they, and the differences between them. Well, where are, and the where comma go. Why English language so difficult? But I say that to say I couldn't pass at the time the NET test, the nursing entrance test. I couldn't pass the English portion. Oh, I would kill a science portion. Oh, math all day long. I couldn't pass the English portion. So what they said was, sorry, Mr. Kirk, if you can't do this English portion, you're not going to make it into our programs. I traveled far and wide. I mean, up to an hour to take this test and was failing every time by a couple points. And somebody said, well, Kathy Cass I worked with saying, why don't you go be an LPN? I'm like, I don't even know what an LPN is. At the time, I just thought nurses were all nurses. And she said, well, no, those are LPNs. They generally have less requirements. So I did my research at 18 and went and sat at an LPN orientation and figured out at that moment it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at 18 because I wasn't mature enough. They told me the level of commitment I needed to, and I said, I'll see you in a few years when I get mature. And I went back at 21. And when I went back, they didn't have the strict requirements of the NET test. So I was able to go and be an LPN. And what I learned from the orientation, they said, this is the diverging program, but you're not deterred. Because once you're an LPN, they open the door to the RN program. So go be an LPN, go the year semester, and then go back and do a transition 9-month RN program. And that's how I became an RN. I didn't go the traditional route. You look at Demetrius' score, he couldn't get into it. And look at me now, finishing up my doctoral degree. But had I let that deter me, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Absolutely. Your tenacity it's very inspiring to me. I want you to look into the camera and I want you to speak to younger people out there that have some of the same experiences that you might have had, or they may have some of the same experiences that you have had, or something different, but it's preventing them from taking that next step. What would you say to them to get them into healthcare?
I love this because I'm speaking to the younger me, right? And the younger me didn't have people. Like I said, my mom and my dad didn't go to college. So my mom had an associate's degree over time, so they didn't really go. And I didn't see it. College wasn't pushed. I don't care what it is that you're trying to do. Know that you can achieve it and you can do anything that you want to do. You just have to continue. As Dana said, you put one foot in front of the other and not give up and not stop. As I shared earlier, right? What is a fail? It is a first attempt in learning. You only fail when you stop trying to achieve your goals and your dreams. If you're trying to move forward, write it down, develop a roadmap, and share it with someone. See, when it's in here, you can always move the goalposts. You continue to keep moving the goalposts. Move it. But when it's wrote down on paper and you have an accountability partner, it can be your best friend, your auntie, the deacon at the church, whoever. You want them to ask you, hey, you're coming up on June 25th and you said you were going to do this. Where are you at with that? And that allows you to progress towards your goals because you're not going to want to let that person down. You don't want to tell them, oh, I didn't do nothing, right? You don't want to tell them that. So, have an accountability partner and just keep going. Know that my famous line to this day, when I want to quit my doctoral program, is that lots of people have done it before me. Lots of people have done it, will do it after me. So why not me? That's my message to you.
Why not you? For those that are watching this, type that in the comments too. Why not you?
Yes, I love
that. You're just dropping so many golden nuggets and you have so much wisdom to share with everyone. And we really are coming to the end of our time, which I'm sad because we've had such great conversations on both of our podcasts today. What is something that I didn't ask you that you really wanted me to ask about or that you want to share with the audience?
I think, indirectly, I brought it out, right? I've said again, 2007, I graduated with a 1 GPA. In 8th grade, Longfellow Middle School, Detroit, Michigan. I won't say the teacher name, and I've never said the teacher name. My 8th grade teacher looked at me and said, once again, by the time you're 18, you'll be dead in somebody's penitentiary. She said that. She was wearing a green sweater that day. I was in math class, Longfellow Middle School. And I'm 35, and that still sticks with me to this day. Here it is, a person of leadership who had an authority. She was an authority figure in my life, telling me I was going to be dead or somebody's penitentiary by the time I was 18. I tell you that to say words have power. They can make you, they can break you. And I want you to surround yourself with people who are giving you power to be great, not somebody who's giving you power or taking away your power. When you talk about yourself in a positive light, speaking into existence. You're dressing and you're acting and you're moving for the job, career, promotion that you want, not for the situation that you are in today. And I'll leave you with this. The seeds you plant today and the water you spray over it, it's not for tomorrow. It's not for next week. It's for 5 years from now. So you sit in your chair, you think about where you want your life to be 5 years from now, and you plant that seed and you continue to water it. And I promise you, within 5 years, that will blossom to your favorite flower.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing all that. There's really nothing else that I can ask that is better than that. You've been dropping the mic at every question that I ask. So I'm going to wrap it up. I just want you to know how not only honored that I am that you were able to come on my podcast today and willing to come on my podcast, but that you're willing to open up and share so much with me, but also the audience. And you were so authentic. And that's what makes a good leader. And you've clearly learned that over the years. And I appreciate your being authentic. And I love how you're sharing it with the world. So thank you very much for being part of our program today.
And yeah, once again, thank you for allowing me to come on. Thank you for selecting me as a guest. You could have chosen anyone. And I appreciate you for just taking time out your day to hear whatever it is I have to say. I don't think it's profound, but what I do know is that if I can inspire one person or touch one person to move in a certain direction, I've done what I came to do.
Amen. And I know that you're going to do that for probably not just one, but many people that watch this. So keep on keeping on and keep telling your story because it's going to continue to inspire people. Yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions for DJ or anything that you want to comment on or ask or whatever, put in the comments and I'll be keeping an eye on them. And I'm sure that DJ will too. If you have any questions, I'm sure that he'll be happy to go in there and answer them for you. How do we get a hold of you if we want to know?
Yeah. So I have two personas, right? So if you search on LinkedIn, I'll give you my LinkedIn name. You ready for it?
Yep.
You just type in a servant leader and there will be my picture. I snagged that URL.
Smart.
LinkedIn/a servant leader. That's my name. So you could just type my name, Demetrius Kirk, into Google. My TikToks will pop up. My sound leadership with DJ will pop up. Everything that I'm doing. So you literally can just type Demetrius Kirk into any search engine, and I promise I will be the first one to pop up. But if you must, you can follow me on TikTok at Your Healthcare Consultant, Instagram at Your Healthcare Consultant. I'm on LinkedIn at a servant leader. And then you can visit our website at smkmed.com. We are a full-service healthcare consulting firm.
Fantastic. Well, for all of you that are watching today, if you found value in this conversation or any of the interviews that we've had on Next Level Leadership, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and share with your friends so that we can continue to spread this word. I know that this is going to be an episode that you definitely want to share because more people need to hear Demetrius' story. So please do that. And we're going to put all of the information that he shared with us today on how to get a hold of him in the show notes. And until next time, thank you so much for being part of Next Level Leadership.